What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best gaming related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. A new title that got revealed at the Game Awards of 2021 is Slitterhead. This is a game, guys, that obviously really came out of nowhere, but it's got a lot of people excited, myself included. Obviously, being a massive horror fan, this is a title that looks like it's right down my alley. And for those of you that are into horror games, I'm sure it's down your alley as well. When we look at this being from one of the Silent Hill creators, that is something that is really, really exciting. So I want to go ahead, guys, in this first segment of the show and talk about everything that we know so far about Slitterhead. We can break it down, and I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So in an article, guys, coming to us from Joe Donnelly of Games Radar, the debut project from Boca Game Studios looks frighteningly good. Revealed at the Game Awards 2021, Slitterhead is a new horror game and the debut venture of indie outfit Boca Game Studio. The developer is headed by Silent Hill creator Kichiro Toyama, who brings years of experience to the project, having also masterminded the Forbidden Siren horror series, and is being scored by Team Silent's esteemed composer Akira Yamaoka. And right off the bat, guys, this being a title that's coming to us from the Silent Hill creator is absolutely awesome. When you really think about it, obviously there was so much that went into Silent Hill, and it's such a cult classic even to this day. I really want to see it continue in some form or another. We really wanted to see that happen, of course, with Hideo Kojima's, Silent Hills project. That didn't happen, but on the flip side of this, it's really cool to see that we're getting, Kichiro Toyama is going to still be working on other things, and he's working on something that looks to be pretty unnerving, something that could be really interesting in a number of ways and could potentially be a spiritual successor to Silent Hill. We'll kind of have to wait and see as time goes. So the Slitterhead trailer that aired at the Game Awards portrays a far more action-heavy approach to horror than Silent Hill survival horror leanings. And while there's nothing in the way of in-game footage as yet, there's definitely enough to get fans of the genre buzzing. So the first thing, when is the release date? This is the big thing for a lot of those of us who are excited about this title. While there's nothing concrete regarding a Slitterhead release date for now, Boca Game Studio head Kichiro Toyama said the developer's first project would release in 2023 for PC in an interview held prior to Slitterhead's reveal. Within that interview, Boca says it's keen to bring Slitterhead to as many console platforms as possible, so Xbox Series X and PS5 versions of the game at the very least seem likely. So my question, though, with this kind of gets me a little bit concerned, though, is when we're hearing them say that it's going to come out on PC in 2023, does that mean it's going to release simultaneously on Xbox as well as PlayStation, or is it going to be on PC first, then later on Xbox and PlayStation? I would really like it to release on all platforms, guys, so that everybody who, whether you play on PC or you play on console, you're able to play and play it day one. So definitely hoping that is the case, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted as time goes. The Slitterhead trailer that aired at the Game Awards teases a little of what we can expect from Boca Game Studio's first project and leads with Kichiro Toyama's horror credentials. A caption reads, in 1999, Kichiro Toyama chose horror as the genre for his first directorial work. Silent Hill was released to the world. In 2020, he went independent and founded Boca Game Studio, and he came back to face a new challenge in horror. And so that's very, very exciting, obviously, to see, could this be like the next Silent Hill story? Could Slitterhead become another cult classic down the road? That is something that time will tell. And obviously, guys, we're going to be breaking down every little thing, because obviously there's going to be a built amount of pressure, obviously, being the Silent Hill creator coming, with this next story being Slitterhead. There's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of anticipation when this game comes out. So obviously, guys, we'll have to kind of wait and see how it turns out, but this could be hopefully the beginning of a brand new horror franchise, not just a one and done type of title. Again, with such a short burst of cinematic footage, it's hard to say exactly what shape Slitterhead will take in gameplay terms come final release. The Silent Hill and Siren series have both historically adopted third-person perspectives. However, horror heavyweight Resident Evil has recently pivoted to first-person fare in Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village. Ghostwire Tokyo, the upcoming action horror game from the Evil Within creators Tango Gameworks, has likewise moved from third to first-person view. Therefore, it'll be interesting to see which path Slitterhead goes down. And to me, guys, I believe that I would love to see Slitterhead go the third-person route. Look, we've got a lot of first-person shooters. We've got a lot of first-person games now in the horror space as well. I really would like to kind of go back to that third-person perspective as well, or at least have games in that, perspective. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity to kind of reintroduce that third-person feel in the horror genre. I think it definitely, just even from the game footage that we saw, even though it's not gameplay, we're seeing cinematics, it feels like it could very well be a third-person type of game, but we'll have to wait and see on that as well. Koichiro Toyama is the head of Boca Game Studio and the creative director of Slitterhead. Besides creating Silent Hill in the late 1990s, he is also responsible for the Forbidden Siren series of horror games, the last of which, Siren Blood Curse, landed in 2008, having spent the last several years working on the Sony-exclusive action-adventure series Gravity Rush. In 2020, the veteran developer established Boca Game Studio, with Slitterhead marking its first project. Team Silent composer Akira Yamaoka is also scoring the project and thinks that you'll like the finished product. So let's put it to you like this, guys. Slitterhead is definitely rising quickly on my most anticipated list of games of the future. Now, we're going to have to wait and see until we get more information about it, when we can actually start seeing gameplay and things of that nature to really sink our teeth into it. But from what we've seen so far, this has a very unnerving feel. Sure, it does feel pretty action heavy as far as being a horror title, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily have to, kind of follow the patterns that we're seeing other games take. I want it to be its own thing. Sure, you can take things from other horror titles, like being a spiritual successor to Silent Hill and things of that nature, but I also want to see it kind of stand on its own. But with that being said, guys, let me know what you guys think about Slitterhead in the comment section down below. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Slitterhead content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. A title that has really captivated my attention is Forspoken. This is a title, guys, that to me shares a number of very intriguing elements, and I want to go ahead and break down everything that we know so far about this title. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. What are you guys expecting to get out of Forspoken? An up-and-coming title, guys, that is sure to, surprise us, I think, in ways, and has some very interesting psychological elements potentially to it. So let's get into it. So in an article, guys, written by Jesse Lennox of Digital Trends, while Square Enix is most famous for its Final Fantasy series and is currently working on the latest entry, a new JRPG project was shown off in June 2020 as a new title for the PlayStation 5 under the code Project Athia. This new game caught many gamers' eyes for the stunning visuals on display and the promise of a brand new world from the esteemed JRPG developers. After the initial reveal, we didn't get many details on this intriguing new project. All we knew was that the developer, Luminous Productions, was made up of many members of the Final Fantasy 15 team. So let's talk about Forspoken, guys. Let's talk about the release date and things of that nature. It took a while for us to get a rough estimate on when we will actually be able to play Forspoken ourselves, but at the PlayStation Showcase in September 2021, it was officially announced that Forspoken was targeting a spring 2022 release date. Square Enix was able to narrow that release date down to May 24, 2022 during the 2021 Game Awards. So the Game Awards is really where I got more of, obviously we all got more of an in-depth look here at what this is all going to be about. They've been kind of teasing us with the footage, of course, guys, over the course of time here, and starting at the PlayStation Showcase, and now of course the Game Awards, which is very, very exciting. Let's just put it this way: you got to take the release date with a pinch of salt, simply because so many games are getting they're given this release date or this release date window, and as we get closer, they get pushed back for a number of reasons. Obviously, guys, we're in this, post-pandemic period, and a lot of companies are still trying to figure things out, whether that means a lot of, of the individuals, employees of these companies are still working from home. Obviously, projects seem to not be going as quickly as it normally should. Maybe it's just the industry as a whole is just kind of obviously just taking longer to get games out. Obviously, games are costing more money. They're taking more time. Obviously, so many more options for gamers out there. So you want to make sure that you really take your time when it comes to making your game. And I would be totally okay with Forspoken moving off the May 24, 2022 release date if that means that the game is going to be more polished and better. Now, if it's perfectly fine, May 24th, I would absolutely love to get my hands on it, guys, and try it. I would want to try it right now if it were ready. As far as the platforms go, there's been a lot of talk about this in the community, guys. This game has been tied to Sony ever since it was first revealed, and Square Enix also has a long history with this platform holder. So Forspoken being a console exclusive was a safe assumption. By reading the fine print at the end of one trailer, we got all the important details. Yes, Forspoken will be a console exclusive for the PS5, but with some asterisks. First, it will also be coming to PC at the same time as confirmed during the Game Awards. Secondly, exclusivity is not permanent. The text states that it won't be made available on the other platforms for at least 24 months from its release date. That's a very long time to wait for a game if you're looking forward to this game on an Xbox platform, but at least it isn't a permanent exclusive, which is really interesting to me. We're seeing more and more titles become console exclusives. And part of me wonders if Sony's thinking about doing this, like where they don't make it a permanent exclusive because they kind of want to give the nod to Xbox, and maybe they want Xbox to give the nod back because Xbox, as we know, purchased Bethesda, of course, the holders of the Elder Scrolls, amongst a number of other games. So many other exclusives are coming out of Xbox, actually way more so than that of PlayStation. And so I'm wondering if Sony's a little bit, trying to almost give a truce to Xbox to say, hey, maybe, in 24 months, can people who have PlayStation get access to the Elder Scrolls? Because we all assume that that's going to be exclusive to Xbox, as well as Fable, as well as so many other titles that are coming out on the Xbox. Part of me kind of likes the idea of a truce almost between the console wars, but at the same time, from a business perspective, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. That would almost be like, Amazon saying, hey, can we have the rights to your Netflix, series, that being like Stranger Things or Ozark or something? Can we have access to it after 24 months? I don't think Netflix would allow that. And the same thing vice versa, like Netflix going to Amazon saying, hey, can we have your Lord of the Rings series 24 months later? I don't think it's necessarily something that's realistic. We'll have to kind of wait and see. This permanent exclusivity, or, not being a permanent exclusive for Forspoken is something that we'll have to kind of keep an eye on. It may very well change as time goes. The trailer, guys, you definitely should check out. Absolutely awesome. The narrative of Forspoken has some big names behind it. Outside the team within Luminous Productions, the writing team includes Gary Whitta, who was a writer on Star Wars Rogue One, Prey, and many comic book runs, as well as Amy Hennig, who wrote the original Uncharted trilogy for Naughty Dog and Soul Reaver games. So those two names, guys, got me very excited. I mean, when we start thinking, you start bringing up the Uncharted trilogy, you're bringing up Star Wars, Prey. Those are some pretty big titles that obviously, this writing team has worked on, and that's something that really gets me excited about Forspoken, more so than I even already am. Obviously, you can check out, of course, the 2021 trailer at the Game Awards as well. The gameplay is the big thing for me, guys. The latest trailer had tons of gameplay to dig our teeth into. We already knew Frey would be dishing out different magical abilities, but now we've seen a range of them in action. There appears to be a more standard, fast-firing magic blast she can fling at enemies, but also some kind of shield, homing water orbs, vines, and explosive traps. What was exciting was the way Frey moves through the environment, and I agree. I really like the way that Frey moves around the environment. It's very, it looks at least very smooth. And that's really exciting to me. Combat is very much active rather than turn-based or tactical. It looks like it can occur anywhere. We see Frey fighting in open fields, interiors, and what look to be town squares. The range of enemies run the gamut from zombie-looking evil humanoids to winged creatures in the sky and even freaking dragons. And that's something that is going to be pretty awesome, guys. And that's what I was getting at when I say just the sheer beauty. I mean, the graphics are amazing in Forspoken, but I also think that there seems to be a lot of, a lot of secrecy, a lot of things that we're going to have to unveil, potentially psychological elements to this world. And those are things that really get me intrigued about this title. Now, as far as the multiplayer goes, you guys know me. I'm a massive fan of a full package. I love single player stories, guys. I love multiplayer experiences, and I love co-op modes. But what I love more than all of those is having them together in one package, in one game. Even though there's been no confirmation one way or the other, we feel pretty confident that there won't be any multiplayer in this game of any kind. Everything we've seen shows Frey acting alone, at least outside of cutscenes and things of that nature. Even her companion character is her cuffs, which wouldn't lend itself to multiplayer at all. Most JRPGs are better off as single-player experiences, so we're good with Forspoken offering a polished solo adventure. I disagree with that. I think that really, guys, all it takes is one game to kind of stand alone or stand by itself. Obviously JRPGs at this point are, single player experiences primarily, but that doesn't mean in the ever-changing landscape of gaming that you can't have multiplayer experiences in a JRPG. I think it's something that's not true whatsoever. I think that multiplayer experiences bring you back to the experience over and over again. Instead of, playing the game a couple of times through the single player story and then moving on to other games, having a full package is the way to go. It's definitely the way that after I'm done playing that single player story, I can play with my friends and play the campaign cooperatively, and then I can play multiplayer against other people across the world, or I can play PvE with my friends, maybe against the environments, maybe against waves and waves of enemies, whatever it may be. So do I think Forspoken would be awesome as a single player experience? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be would it be great as co-op as well as multiplayer modes? I think there's definitely potential there just from what we're seeing at this current juncture. And so I really think that they need to create a full package here. Look, guys, I've talked about it a long time, and I'm not saying that the way that Sony does and PlayStation has created a lot of these exclusive titles that are just single player experiences, there's nothing wrong with that. And they actually sell very well as well. I mean, we look at God of War, we look at, Spider-Man, all these different titles, right? And then obviously The Last of Us, we're still waiting for the multiplayer experience. But I just think, guys, that sure, you're going to get people to try the game out, but to keep people coming back to it over and over again outside of DLC, you've got to have multiplayer experiences or co-op experiences, unless otherwise people are going to move on to other games. And we see that so much now in the landscape of gaming. If you want to build a really foundational, support base and fan base at the end of the day, I just believe you've got to have a full package. And it really justifies that $60 price tag as well. DLC, guys. So initially, we were ready to say just as confidently that Forspoken wouldn't have DLC as we did it not having multiplayer until we reflected for a moment. This team, which again is largely the same one that made Final Fantasy 15, does have a track record for adding content post-launch. Final Fantasy 15 alone got way more DLC than many expected, including a multiplayer mode, so anything is possible. Granted, Final Fantasy 15 had a, let's call it, troubled development and launch that made DLC feel more necessary. So, look, guys, DLC, I love DLC, but at the same time, I love DLC that's free to play, especially if it's a game that you're already paying $60 for. If you're not going to have any other game modes, I really think that having it free to play is going to bring people back to the experience to at least try that DLC out. Adding a multiplayer mode at that point would be great, but I think adding it at the very beginning just makes total sense at the end of the day. So DLC to me is not so much really a thought until after the game releases and you kind of see how the narrative plays out and see what other modes there are outside of the single player story. But that all being said, guys, overall, I'm very excited about Forspoken. I think this title could be really great. I think it's got unbelievable amounts of graphics, along with the potential of being a very story-driven, title, but also has the opportunity to have other modes outside of it that could really start to create different change, I guess you could say, over at Sony, where they've been so narrative focused with their titles. Maybe they can expand a little bit on that by adding, multiplayer modes more frequently and adding more co-op modes that you can play with your friends. But nonetheless, guys, I'm pretty excited about this. Let me know. Are you excited about Forspoken? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Forspoken content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. CrossfireX, guys, is going to be coming out on Xbox, and I'm really excited about this because this is one of PC's biggest games, and it is really interesting because I never actually even heard of it until CrossfireX was revealed to us and to the whole world, and that's something that's really interesting to me because it's more so popular, not so much in the US, and that's probably why I haven't really heard of it. Over here, obviously, we have Call of Duty, and now, with CSGO, Valorant, all these other titles that are coming out. CrossfireX, this seems like a title that's going to be something really special. And so what I want to talk about, guys, is this title as a whole, the things that we know so far. What can we expect, moving forward with it? Is it going to be a full package? Is it just going to be kind of a remaster? What exactly is CrossfireX going to be, and when is it coming out? Let's talk about it. So in an article written by Zachary Body of Windows Central, Crossfire is an incredibly popular first-person shooter franchise predominantly played in Asian markets. The game is known for intense free-to-play online multiplayer that pits two teams against each other and has amassed over hundreds of millions of unique players, making it one of the most played games and successful games of all time. Now, Crossfire is transforming into a fully fledged franchise with the arrival of CrossfireX, which shakes up the original's formula in several ways, with the classic multiplayer returning from Smilegate Entertainment and an all-new single-player campaign coming from Remedy Entertainment. Here's everything you need to know about the title. So, what is CrossfireX for Xbox? Well, CrossfireX is the sequel to a long-running first-person shooter made franchise with incredible popularity in Asia and other countries. The original Crossfire has gathered a massive gathering of loyal players to its free-to-play multiplayer. CrossfireX promises to be bigger and grander than its predecessor and takes advantage of current-gen gaming technologies and power, combining its traditional free-to-play online multiplayer with an all-new single-player campaign. CrossfireX looks to make an exciting entry into the current generation of gaming. So let's stop right there for a moment. The fact of the matter that CrossfireX, this just kind of reminds me of a title here in the United States that I've said so much on this YouTube channel needs to evolve over time and really has not, is CSGO. CSGO has felt like it's kind of just been complacent over the years. And yes, guys, it's a massive title and it's a lot of fun to watch from an esports perspective. That being said, though, I always said that it could really do CSGO and just Counter-Strike in general. It could do it a lot of good if they were to upgrade the graphics and things of that nature. Well, Crossfire is doing this, guys. They're doing something that I've been preaching for a while for CSGO to do. They are making, CrossfireX bigger, grander. They're going to be, obviously, updating the graphics. They're creating a brand new campaign. The multiplayer, it sounds like, is still going to be free to play. I mean, that's absolutely awesome, guys. This could be the next massive first-person shooter in the United States, or really in the world, guys. And I think that's what the approach here is, to have another competitor to Call of Duty, which is the king of the first-person shooter. When we look at from a sales perspective, guys, year over year, Call of Duty sells better than any game out there. And CrossfireX, I think, is trying to make a stand at being that title that's going to compete on not necessarily a yearly mark, because this is going to be a free-to-play multiplayer, but wants to make its mark here in the States as well and outside of the Asian markets. So, while set in the same overarching universe, CrossfireX's campaign and multiplayer will be separate in a way similar to many other shooters like Call of Duty Vanguard and Halo Infinite. Crossfire fans and newcomers alike will be able to enjoy the classic multiplayer action that made the original Crossfire famous, spruced up for a modern era of gaming, while also being able to jump into a first ever peek behind the scenes into the world of Crossfire in a single player campaign. And that makes me so excited, guys, because it sounds like it's going to be a full package. It's not just going to be the multiplayer. It's not just going to be the campaign. It's going to be all of this. And hopefully we'll get a multitude of co-op modes as well to really round out the full package. So during the Game Awards 2021, Smilegate finally broke its silence and announced a definitive release date for CrossfireX, February 10th, 2022. The game has been delayed again, but at least players have a set date to look forward to, and the multiplayer and campaign are also releasing at the same time. CrossfireX has been delayed twice now, and once experienced months of silence from the team with no new info for players, but it seems likely that this release date is here to stay. I'm going to say, guys, take it with a pinch of salt. February 10th is not far away, so fingers crossed that it sticks to that, but I wouldn't be surprised either way if they stuck with it, or I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed back once again. All I got to say is, if they're going to continue pushing it back, just wait to give us a release date, until it's, definitely going to be releasing on that date, just because it starts to really, it gives out false hope, and then a lot of people start forgetting about it. They think it's going to come out, it never does, and then people just kind of, move on to other games and such. So I would love to see them stick with this February 10th date unless the game is not fully polished. If there's bugs and glitches and things of that nature, then wait. But if everything's ready to go, release it February 10th. I am very excited for this title, guys. I think it could be something really, really special. Now, obviously, you can check out all of the different trailers that have been released, guys. They're absolutely awesome. Now, what is the online multiplayer in CrossfireX? So, Crossfire sees players join one of the world's two most dangerous private military factions, Global Risk or Blacklist, and battle it out in a variety of fast-paced game modes. Gameplay-wise, Crossfire shares some similarities with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a tactical shooter more popular in Western markets. Crossfire does feature its own unique twists and mechanics alongside a wide selection of weapons and gear to choose from, and CrossfireX will expand on this with a variety of new features. So it's not clear exactly how CrossfireX will be when it comes to progression, customization, and monetization. There will be a customization system in place that will likely let players personalize their operatives and weapons, but we will have yet to see it in action. We do know that CrossfireX will feature multiplayer seasons that will add new content, likely capped by battle passes to reward you for playing. The CrossfireX campaign will be available as part of a premium battle pass when CrossfireX initially launches. So, full disclosure, guys, I've never played Crossfire. I have not played it yet. I am definitely just going to wait to play CrossfireX, and I'm going to definitely be playing this from a campaign perspective. I'll probably be playing the campaign first. I usually always do that. Play the campaign first, kind of get used to the mechanics, really dive into the story, get immersed with the characters and things of that nature, then jump into multiplayer or co-op modes with my friends. And so that is something that obviously I think battle passes, when you start hearing battle passes, different ways that they're going to monetize it, when you start hearing that it's free to play, at least from a multiplayer perspective, it does justify to me having, battle passes that you can pay for, and having different, monetization tactics, as long as it's not deceptive to the consumer. So, finally, we know that the CrossfireX we're getting is not the CrossfireX that was before the game's delay. After the long hiatus separating CrossfireX's reveal and beta, Smilegate revealed the improvements it made to CrossfireX's graphics and maps through a series of comparison images and trailers. It's clear the studio made substantial improvements and has probably continued to do so since then, and I agree. Now, as far as the single-player campaign, not a lot is known about CrossfireX's single-player campaign beyond the fact that it is being developed by Remedy. And guys, Remedy is awesome. I cannot wait to see what they do with this. I mean, Remedy, guys, Control was an absolutely incredible game. Alan Wake, was one that I enjoyed. A lot of people that's got a very passionate fan base. Quantum Break was not as big of a fan of, but Alan Wake 2 coming back, I cannot be more excited about Alan Wake 2, guys, but Control was so good. So when I look at CrossfireX and having this narrative and the story coming to us from Remedy, that's got me so excited. So The campaign will be set in the same universe as Crossfire and CrossfireX's multiplayer portions, but will be functionally different in a variety of ways to support its narrative purpose. We're expecting the CrossfireX campaign to play similarly to the multiplayer portions, but the game being developed by Remedy means there will undoubtedly be a variety of differences. We know that the campaign will feature unique objectives and missions, as well as special abilities and mechanics that may not be in the multiplayer. And that's going to be something that's going to be really interesting, guys, because obviously if there's going to be like different abilities, different mechanics in the campaign, and then you get to the multiplayer and they're different there, that is something that can really kind of throw you off, right? When I play Call of Duty, I'll play, obviously the campaign first, and then I'll go on to play co-op or multiplayer modes, and it's typically the exact same, right? The weapons are the same. A lot of the characters usually are the same that are playable in the multiplayer, and things of that nature, and all the mechanics are the same. But if you're going to change it from the campaign to the multiplayer, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. The big question, though, guys, is what consoles or platforms are we going to be getting CrossfireX on? CrossfireX, the predecessor, is a PC-only title, but so far in CrossfireX's marketing lifeline, only the Xbox platform has been mentioned. Many players have been left wondering on what platforms CrossfireX is releasing and when the game can be expected to expand to other ecosystems. As far as that goes, guys, the Xbox Series X and Series S are here, and they've both proven to be capable and impressive entries into what is now the current gen of console gaming. Many games are adding full support for these powerful consoles, which usher in support for a ton of new features, including hardware, accelerated ray tracing, higher refresh rates, faster load speeds, greater graphical fidelity, and more. CrossfireX has confirmed its support for the Xbox Series X and S when it launches, ensuring the game will be optimized to take advantage of the consoles. So at this very moment in time, guys, I would have to say it looks like it's going to be a console exclusive to Xbox. Could that change? Sure. But at the same time, I think Xbox, it sounds like they might have tight grips on CrossfireX, and they may have another massive hit on their hands following, of course, Halo Infinite. I mean, Xbox is really starting to make some significant steps forward to compete against Sony in a major way, unlike we haven't seen in a number of years. As far as the multiplayer is concerned, games like Gears 5 and eventually Halo Infinite push for up to 120 frames per second to offer a truly competitive and lightning fast gaming experience. It's very possible that CrossfireX will do the same, possibly dialing back things like ray tracing and densely packed details from the campaign to prioritize performance in the multiplayer. CrossfireX will also be cross-generational, meaning it'll be available on Xbox One at the same time as Xbox Series X and S, and that is something that's awesome, guys. Obviously, a lot of people aren't even able to get the Xbox Series X. You're usually able to get the S a little bit more it's more readily available, it seems, but still, a lot of people don't want to get the S because it's all digital downloads, whereas the X, you can obviously have the disc tray and things of that nature. So obviously, until the X is more readily available, it's good that it'll be releasing on Xbox One as well. Now, the original Crossfire became one of the biggest games of all time purely as a PC exclusive, making it easy to assume its sequel would also launch on PC. However, CrossfireX is actually entirely exclusive to Xbox consoles, meaning there's absolutely no PC support at launch and no indication of when it'll come, which is very interesting, guys. The multiplayer for CrossfireX is free to play, so there's no reason for it to make an appearance on Xbox Game Pass. As far as the campaign is concerned, the single-player experience will not be on Xbox Game Pass, unfortunately, and will purely be a paid experience. While CrossfireX clearly has a close partnership with Xbox as evidenced by its exclusive launch, it's not an Xbox Game Studio or Bethesda Softworks title, so it's not under any obligation to support Xbox Game Pass day one. I do believe it will be coming out at some point on Xbox Game Pass. CrossfireX is also guaranteed to come to PC at some point, almost guaranteed to come to PC at some point in the future, and the lack of Xbox Game Pass support is unfortunate but understandable. The platform most mirrored in uncertainty is PlayStation, which boasts of a large community of first-person shooter fans. As you may expect, there's no indication CrossfireX will ever come to PS4 or PS5, and it's certainly not doing so at launch. which obviously, guys, if I had to guess, I would say that they are not going to be releasing it on PlayStation for a long time. Potentially at some point, you can never say never, but I don't think it will be at any point in the foreseeable future. That being said, though, guys, I'm very excited about CrossfireX for a number of reasons. Obviously, free-to-play multiplayer, updated graphics, things that I've been preaching on the YouTube channel for CSGO to do. It seems like a team as well as a game has decided to take that next step in ensuring that they are going to try to be a real competitor in the first-person space. That being said, though, guys, let me know what you all think about CrossfireX. And what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's going to be an absolute smash hit? Do you think it's going to be limited because it's going to be an exclusive on Xbox? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more CrossfireX content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.